Our next guest is an actor, comedian and writer who has been involved in many of the best-loved comedy shows ever, to be quite honest. Here to talk about his work both on stage and screen, it is the wonderful Paul Whitehouse. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing?
Morning, Mirren. How are you? I'm pretty good, I think.
Pretty good, he thinks. You're not out of the press these days, Paul, because of your casting in the Harry Potter television series as Filch. How are you doing?
Yeah, that's very nice. I think I don't think I get many lines, which suits me fine. I don't have to learn a lot. And yeah, I start on that in August. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's a big production, you know.
You had a small part in one of the films, didn't you? Weren't you one of the paintings?
Thank you for that. Thanks for reminding me it was a small part. Not only that, not only was it a small part, I was cut out of it in the end. Yeah, I ended up just as a painting, so which my daughters found very amusing. You know, yeah, my youngest at the time said, "How dare they do that? Daddy's a very good actress."
You're not the only one to have been cut. Rick Mail was cut out as well. So, like, you actually got to stay as a painting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think Rick was was cut out as well. So I was in pretty good company, let's be honest, yeah.
Upgraded to Filch, though, in a show that it has the world talking, Paul. What's it like to be involved in something that has so much interest globally?
Well, thanks for reminding me of that, Mirren. I sort of thought I'd slipped under the radar, to be honest.
No.
I mean, look, I'm happy plodding along doing Only Fools and Horses and Gone Fishing. So, you know, to me, well, I tell you what's interesting about it for me, as well as something, obviously, that I was involved with before on a very minor level, is that the director of the new series of Dark Train is that he was our location manager on the first series of the Fast Show, and eventually ended up directing the Fast Show, and then he did Royal Family, and then he moved to the States, went stratospheric, did Succession, The Last of Us, and now he's doing this. And he got in touch with me, so it was a very lovely sort of reunion, you know, of somebody I worked with over 30 years ago.
It kind of proves.
To me, he's junior boy, you know, but of course, he's now the boss.
But it kind of, isn't it nice? You're like, everyone can know that you were really nice on the Fast Show to someone who mightn't have been as thought of as important at the time. And he's like, get that fella back. I like him. I
know, imagine, yeah. All the others, of course, in the Fast Show are going, Paul, tell him to give me a job.
No, you don't need to, because you are so busy. I'd say people are looking for jobs left, right and centre, because you just mentioned it there. Whitehouse and Mortimer, Gone Fishing. The BAFTA nominated, I don't know how many times it's been nominated for BAFTAs.
Yeah, we've never won it, Mirren, and thank you for doing the names in the correct order, as they should have been, Whitehouse and Mortimer.
I'm so sorry. That's what it should have been, Bob Mortimer getting in there. Can we talk about this delightful...
That's what he does, you know. That's what he does. He presents himself as Cuddly Bob. But really, he's got his eye on the prize, you know. Whack! He's in there.
I knew we weren't seeing the right person on Taskmaster with that cuddly stuff. Tell us about how it came about, though, because it's a real-life experience that turned into a TV show.
Yeah, absolutely is, Mary. And I think probably that's why it's been successful, because it came out of real life. I had some heart problems and I had to have some stents, which was a fairly straightforward procedure for me. I know it's very daunting for a lot of people. And Bob was having to undergo a stent procedure, but at the last minute they found he was too sort of far gone, really, and he had to have a triple bypass, an emergency triple bypass, which is, you know, quite a shocking deal. And the recovery is a very slow and painstaking one. And I'd always sort of threatened to take him fishing over. We've been mates for years, me and Bob, and he always was on at me to take him fishing. So I sort of gradually lured him out of the house, and we started going fishing together, and it was part of his recovery and recuperation. And yeah, we were just sitting on the riverbank one day, and Bob said, wouldn't it be a great idea to do a fishing program? And actually that didn't happen at all. I said, wouldn't it be a great idea to do this as a pro? I think we'd been making each other laugh, you know, and it was an idyllic day, and trout were rising, and people in Ireland will understand that, you know. And I just, yeah, we thought, well, let's see. And it's been a sort of joy, really, and a beautiful journey ever since. It's not really about fishing. It's about friendship, really.
And, you know, you mentioned your heart problems there, but you're about to start in that one of the biggest TV shows that we will ever probably see. You've got this show on the BBC and you're taking to the stage. You're going to be in Ireland. You're going to be here on the 30th until the 5th of July in the Borgosh Energy Theatre for Only Fools and Horses, the musical.
Yeah.
And you're playing Grandad.
Yeah, we're in Dublin for a week, 8 shows, and I mean, I've been doing it a long time now, so I very rarely forget the lines, but there's always hope. If you come and see it and it goes wrong, it's almost funnier. But no, it's a great show to be involved in. I've been doing it for 5-6 years now, and I play Grandad and all right, Del Boy, and I also do a little cameo as Uncle Albert at the end during the war. So, for me, it's a joy. I get to play 2 old characters, which means I sit down a lot. But I do have to do sort of a version of dance. It's not really dance. You couldn't call it dancing. But there's movement about the stage.
I'd say the producers of Strictly would call it dancing. Have they contacted you?
No, listen, if they did, I'd run screaming. God, no thanks.
Has David Jason or any of them, have they gone to, what have they made of it?
Yeah, quite a few of them have come to see it, and David came to see it in Hammersmith just after Christmas. Sorry, just before Christmas, when Vinnie Jones was in it, and even despite Vinnie being in it, he still liked it. So, I hope he doesn't see this video. He'll come after me, won't he?
We're going to send it. We're going to send it to them. We're going to make sure he sees it.
I'm not scared of him. Come on, Jack.
Sure you're not. I don't know if you're scared of anyone, to be honest, because let's get into the fact that you're also a podcaster. You do this with your fabulous wife, Dr. Mina, and this podcast is so interesting, right? It's I'm ADHD. No, you're not. Tell us about your podcast.
Well, yeah, you're right. If I'm not scared of anyone, if I'm not scared of her, I'm not scared of anyone. So, it's. There's such a lot of misinformation around ADHD, and as Minna is an early years brain specialist, so she's well versed to talk about how the brain develops, especially in our early years. And I'm not a cynical, but I play the sort of the alternative voice. If I wasn't there, you wouldn't get the cut and thrust, and I almost mean that literally, of debate. And we've had some very sort of well-known guests on, but guests who struggled in their early years. You might think of them as successful now, but they had serious issues, in their lives, and have managed to overcome it. And the thing with ADHD is it gets jumped on as a convenient label to excuse bad behaviour. Well, we're not allowing that. But if you don't find the right path or have somebody to guide you, you can very easily fall into what they call the school to prison pipeline. If you find the right path, it can be very beneficial. If you don't, it can leave you in all sorts of trouble. So we're exploring that. It's an interesting debate because I don't think that the definition is correct, really, to explain all the behaviours. And sometimes, it's a bit boring. People go, I'm ADHD. And you think, well, hold on, you don't display the same types of behaviour as this person. So maybe the definition is wrong. And that's the sort of point we're at the moment. But it's a really interesting exploration, really, into how the mind works and how the brain develops. So, yes.
It's fab, the way you interact with each other, yourself and Minna, your wife, obviously, and then the amazing...
It's bickering. Let's have it right. We argue, don't we?
Who doesn't want to hear that? Like, we just want to hear that you're like the rest of us. And my God, do you? But you get fabulous guests on to talk about their lives. And one person that went on was Gemma Styles. But her brother wanted to drop her off to the studio because he wanted to meet you, right?
Yeah, I know. It's bizarre, isn't it? Honestly, we turned up at the studio and we were going to meet Gemma. And Gemma's had some serious issues and written, quite copiously about her problems. And this guy jumped out of a cab, and he was sort of quite tall, and he had his tats. And I thought, that was Harry Styles. And he said, "Oh, can I have a picture, please?" I was like, "Come on, is this an April Fool's? You know, it's a role reversal here." But apparently, the Styles family, when they were young, really bonded over the Fast Show. So, you know, for him, it was a treat to come and see us. So, yeah, it was a shocker. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be a treat for anyone to go and see you, honestly. Someone who has done so much and is such an absolute sounder. You're going to be, as we mentioned, in Ireland. Only Fools and Horses, the musical. It's going to be at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre from the 30th until the 5th of July. Paul Whitehouse, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Miriam. Come and see it. Honestly, it's such a good laugh. I guarantee you'll enjoy it.